Hello, my name is Pedro, and in today's video, I wanted to compare some bugs that we learned in bug class or in Dr. Scott Bundy's entomology course. And I picked the ones that most similarly fit together or could be judged based on similarities, and they are the ant and the bee. Mostly because these three different arthropods have colonies or nests, queens, and have different variety of workers and soldiers that each bug kind of they kind of fit similar together. And so I wanted to go based off of that criteria alone and figure out which one of these is like the better bug. Also, I will be talking about some cool adaptations that each bug kind of has throughout the world, just because I think it's important to highlight their adaptations just as much as their basic features. So let's get started. So, ants have been around for ages at this point. And like most species on Earth, they kind of adapt and change depending on where they are and what their main source of food is. And like all ants across the world, they all have a queen, and this kind of falls into the caste system of reproduction, where one single female is tasked with laying the eggs for the colony, and that's their whole purpose in life. And males suck. The male ant does nothing more than just give sperm to the female in order to, make the babies or the larvae. And they tend to die pretty early on. Most of the ants that you see within the colonies are female, and they're sterile to avoid the whole reproduction stuff and destroying the colony, which means that all workers within the ant colony themselves are female, and they do a lot of the everyday tasks such as tending to the larvae or tending to the queen, gathering food, foraging, cleaning up the nest. Really, ants are hard workers, and we love to see it. Each worker can come in a variety of sizes depending on what kind of ant species they are. And then ants are also one of the most commonly found species of bug all across the world, with a bunch of species. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. And not every species has a soldier category. So most of the time, workers are there to defend the colony. And most of the time, their nests come in a variety of options depending on where they are, again. But the most common ones are earthen nests, which are just mostly found underground with these massive tunnel systems for different areas within the colony. And combined nests, which is literally just a culmination of anything that they can find within a nest. And for adaptations, my favorite adaptation is the door head ants, just because their sole purpose is to be a door for the colony, and they mostly act as defense, and I think that's kind of funny. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Bees are all around us. No, I'm just joking. The honeybees are one of the most common pollinator bugs and are the most popular pollinator bugs within the world. They do a lot. Much like the ant, their societal reproduction system is a caste system, which means that their entire hive or colony is made up of sterile females, and you only have one queen to lay all the eggs. And that's kind of it, much like the ant. Males, again, they're just terrible. They're called drones, and they don't really do much but provide sperm for the queen bee. But interesting fact about the queen bee is the queen bees can actually change the gender of whatever she's laying, which gives her a point above the ant queen. So yeah, all bees are female and sterile, and each bee has adapted their ovipositor into a barbed stinger, and only female bees can sting you. And that's the only way a bee can ever sting you, is if they're female. And so within bee community, obviously there's work to be done to maintain this colony of sorts. But how does work get divided? It's a thing called polytheism or polytheism, which means that bees believe in child labor. Or work just gets divided by age. So from like certain ages means certain tasks for the groups. So like from 0 to 3 days, a young bee will, clean the hive. If there's dead bees, they'll clean it out. They'll make sure that everything is just kind of nice and neat. From like 3 to 10 days, those ones are usually tending to like the larva, feeding the larva, stuff like that, and so forth. They go on to like make sure that there's comb building, so you have your like little construction bees, and then the rest of the time workers are out foraging for pollen and stuff like that for the hive. Yeah, that's kind of it. All bugs tend to like communicate, and bees do it in a cool fashion with a little waggle dance. It's just a way for them to communicate, and they shake their little abdomens. I think it's pretty funny. The hives of bees are all different in sizes and species. Most of the time, it's all the same though. A queen is like deep inside the hive. They have an area for the larva, an area for the food, and an area for like an entranceway for bees to like go in and out of the hive itself. My favorite bee, or like favorite adaptation of bee, is the quote-unquote killer bee, mostly because they're just aggressive little bees, and the only ones to have like done like serious damage to people. They have like very potent poison or toxins within their body when they sting someone, and enough toxins can like kill someone, I guess, from news reports and stuff that I saw within class and then the recordings. So they're like my favorite adaptation of bee. But that's the bee, and they're the bee's knees. That was terrible. So in this instance, ants versus bees, it's kind of a hot debate, and nothing can really change, but we'll go by basis of what I think is the better insect. So we'll start with ants. Ants have a lot of cool features about them. Their tunnels and their nest system, I think, is way better than bees, and I think that the workers and the soldier categories are definitely better than the bees, which tend to be all workers. However, I will give some points down because the queen can't change the gender of their eggs. Therefore, she's kind of taking a gamble every time she lays an egg. So I would say the ant themselves get a nice 9 points out of the 10 that I think that they would probably get. But that's just my opinion on the ants. So let's go on to the bees. Bees. Hive systems, pretty cool. Usually hanging or in wood. Sometimes they're in your walls, sometimes they're anywhere else. Bees are pretty important, not only for produce and stuff like that, but for flowers. So they get some points for that. Them being all female, it's kind of, it's kind of cool. Love to see an all female colony these days. Their queen gets some more points than the ant queen because, they can change the gender of the eggs they lay. They get some points down though for the polytheism thing or child labor. That's not really cool. But other than that, I think the bees get 10 points because I do like bees more than ants. So I'm biased. Bees win. Congrats to bees.